I'd like to share with you a little bit about some extreme hardship in my life and the rather surprising outcome of that hardship. 4 years ago, I suffered a catastrophic stroke. One day, I was working out of my home and we were all in COVID lockdown, grabbing a Coke from the fridge when suddenly it was as if someone had just pulled the plug on the right side of my body. It just went limp. The whole right side of my body. No feeling, nothing. And then I slipped into a coma for 3 days. I left the rehab facility 7 weeks later, unable to walk and with complete paralysis on my right side. My daughters brought me home in a wheelchair in November 2020. I stood up from that wheelchair that very first day, and I vowed never to get back in that chair again. And I didn't. Those 4 years have been an uphill climb. Thousands of hours of physical, occupational, and speech therapy. It took me a year to walk more than 30 or 40 feet. Now I walk about 7,000 steps a day. Another 2 years to be able to drive again. Truth be told, before the stroke, I had lived for 55 years with barely a paper cut. I had never been seriously ill, and I ran 5 miles a day. And then suddenly, without warning, I had to face living inside of a body that was severely and unalterably broken. I had a broken body and a broken heart that matched. I was buried in disillusionment, and I thought the story of my life was over. After scratching and clawing my way to being able to walk and drive, I felt like God had delivered me yet another raw deal. I had become a Christian when I was 21 years old. I had strayed away over the last 5 years or so before my stroke. I had become frustrated with God because I wasn't getting what I really deserved. I felt that I had tried as hard as I could to get better, and yet here I was, still paralyzed. I wasn't talking to God much anymore. I was stone cold angry with him. I was buried so deep in sadness that I didn't even know how to talk to him anymore. Then one night in February 2024, I got down on the floor of my apartment, and through my tears, I asked God to show me a sign that he was still there. I needed it, or else I was going to consider other ways of dealing with my dilemma. Literally, in a flash, he showed up. In my mind's eye, he revealed to me that before my stroke, my life had become something that I wasn't proud of, and neither was he. I'd become an imitation of myself, all looks and no substance. When I was confronted with this truth, I felt deeply ashamed. And in that instance, I went from a woman whose story was over to a child of God whose story got changed that very night. God does not cause our affliction. Bad things happen as a part of living on a broken planet. But when we come to him vulnerable, with all our bumps and bruises and questions and fears, he will meet us right where we're at, and our stories can change. This is not the story of a miracle in the outward healing sort of way, but it is the story of my miracle. I was spiraling down because of my stroke. I had hit rock bottom when I asked God wholeheartedly for a sign. The oh so gentle yet truthful voice of God came through. Were it not for my stroke, I would not have had the opportunities that I've had. not the least of which is my increased capacity for compassion. I now facilitate a Bible study, and I'm even writing a book, which now I'll have to finish because I've mentioned it in front of you all. God met me in my darkest hour. To quote a song, He showed Himself once again to be the waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. He might not choose to heal my body this side of heaven, but He has healed my heart, and He can heal every heart. He can even take what some people see as my disability and turn it into an amazing work of grace.